You're listening to Ernestly Speaking, the only weekly podcast that covers friends, foes, and anything that goes. And now, for your badass host, Ernest Owens. And we're back with a special edition episode of Ernestly Speaking with your host, Ernest Owens, myself. Yes, I am recording this in Oxford. Okay, Oxford, England, baby. I'm here at the Old Bank Hotel, right here, right across the street from Oxford University. It is a little bit past midnight, so a lot of you all are going to be getting this while I'll be back to Philly because this was a quick trip, okay? But it was probably one of the most exhilarating 24 hours I've had in a very long time. I mean, I just I don't even know how to explain the level of excitement and joy. And I was just like, I have time, it's past midnight. My driver, yes, they got me a driver. The Sprinter's getting me at 6:30 a.m. My flight is at 10 a.m. But let me explain. This is all on England time. So, okay, England time is basically 5 hours ahead of East Coast time. So if it is, also it's funny because like right now my laptop is like it's 8 o'clock, which means that it is currently 1 a.m. actually in England. So I'm doing my big one. But like it's great. It's the time zone difference is different, which I was like, well, that's great because I can record this, let it surprise drop at midnight, so you all on a Friday will be like, whoop, because I wasn't even telling y'all. I'm not telling y'all. I was like, I can record this and then be able to then, shock y'all. So y'all are gonna be like, what? Some of y'all are gonna be like, nah, I expected a special edition. Nobody hounded me about it though. A lot of y'all were like, no one said anything. I mean, you're used to the Grammys, you're used to certain things, but this was something different. And I just was like, you know what? There's so much that went down. There is so many fun things. And I was like, if I tried to put this on a regular episode, the episode would be like 4.5 hours long, which the last week's episode was like what, like 3.5. But that there was a lot of tea being spilled in that last episode. So it was what it was. But this is so much. So where do I begin? Let me start at the very beginning of how my travel. So getting here was not bad at all. It was a very smooth flight. It was actually 7 hours long, which wasn't that bad. I just watched a bunch of movies. I thought I was going to go to sleep, but I was like, oh, I need to catch up on some movies. And I watched some Oscar nominated films that I hadn't got a chance to really watch in a while. I saw Real Pain, which I'll talk about in an upcoming episode. And I got a chance to watch Apprentice, which I saw way back, but I got to see it and really, really got alone time to watch it and just no preview. But that's the Donald Trump biopic film that has Sebastian Stan and Jeremy Strong playing Roy Cohn, which was phenomenal. His performance. I liked it again after watching it the first time I watched it, I just kind of, I had it on, and it was also before the election, so I just had a different mindset, like, oh, why do I care? I don't even care about Donald Trump. But watching it again and like really being able to like have no distractions, because we're on a plane, there's like you're like in many ways you're forced to watch it like with no distractions, no background, and it was a great film. It's not going to win anything. I doubt that it's going to win anything at the Oscars, but it was great. A Real Pain with Kieran Culkin, which has been the frontrunner for Best Supporting Actor. I watched it again. I'm going to get some more thoughts, but I'll just say this because I do want to talk about the actual, Oxford experience. But what I will say about Kieran Culkin is that was a lead actor performance. And now that I got a chance to really watch it again, that was a lead actor performance. And honestly, they did category fraud for that because he's winning supporting actor because he's got a lot of screen time. This reminds me of Viola Davis in Fences, where she really should have been nominated for Best Lead Actress because that was a leading performance, but she wanted to secure the Oscar win, so she won the supporting actress category. I could say the same thing about Zoe Saldana in Amelia Perez, but because the title character, Amelia Perez, is played by by a trans actress who they would consider a lead performance, they decided to put Zoe in a supporting role, which made more sense. But Kieran Culkin, in my opinion, is really the lead actor. Jesse Eisenberg, who wrote the screenplay, he was the actor that played Mark Zuckerberg in The Social Network, which was a great performance by him. He's good in this film. I guess they're trying to frame him like he's a lead actor, but honestly, Kieran Culkin has more screen time, and he is clearly the lead in that film. There was either two co-leads. I could say there were two co-leads, but they played that. Same thing they did with Catherine Zeta-Jones in Chicago. They made her a supporting role playing Velma Kelly, when we all know those who are real Broadway thespians, that was a co-lead role with Roxy Hart, played by Renee Zellweger. But at the Oscars, they made her be a supporting role and a Renee Zellweger lead role because they wanted to increase the number of Oscar potential wins they would get. They didn't want to cancel each other out. But I digress. Those films are really good. And then I watched, what was the third film I watched? I watched, let me think. A Real Pain. No, I watched The Apprentice first. A Real Pain was second. And then I watched Freaky Friday, which I hadn't seen in a long time, and I had thoughts about that film. Loved it, but also was like, ooh, there's a lot of racist Asian tropes in this film. Some stereotypical Asian tropes was in that film, Freaky Friday. I'm talking about the not the old Disney one, but the new one that came out in the early 2000s. That version that had Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan. And they're making a sequel this year, so that's what made me want to watch it. Freaky Friday 2003. So this movie came out 22 years ago, and they're making a new Freaky Friday movie coming out this year. So I'm excited about it, and I said, let me go ahead and watch it. It's called Freakier Friday, is what it's called, and it's coming out later this year. And so that 22 years later, both of them are doing their thing. So yeah, I fell in love with the film all over again. It was really, really good. And it also, Dr. Parks, my good friend, there are some stereotypical mental health things, because in the film, the lead, Jamie Lee Curtis, is playing Tessa, or Tess, I guess that's her name in the film, and she is a psychologist, and she is the I guess the client she have, it's very like, stereotypical therapy type stuff, which was interesting watching it with the lens I have now. Because I was like 12 years old when that film first came out. So it was interesting to watch it 22 years later, and my perspective. But that was a different time we were in the world. And I'll talk more about that in the next episode. But I did finally see The Princess. My fourth film was The Princess Diaries. And I wanted to see that because it was like the closest experience I could have to thinking about like London. That was a free movie. And like when the movie ends and the plane lands and she's like in Genova, I felt like the same way, like when I was coming down to England, like, But anyway, miracles happen. So the plane ride was chill, very smooth. I forgot how international flights serve you 2 meals. So part of me is like, I don't really want to go to sleep because I don't want to miss out my meals. Because the dinner was really good. They served a hot dinner, which was fun. It was light. It was good, though. It was good for a plane ride. And then the breakfast was like Chobani yogurt, this really good trail mix topping to go over it. It was like orange juice and a fig bar. It was decent. I had no complaints. I was okay. I love my seating. I was very fortunate enough to get on where I had a window seat on the end, at a window seat, and there was no one in the middle between myself and the other person on my row. So that like distance and that spacing, oh my goodness, like incredible. The flight was chill, was a good flight, decent, everything was chill. Got here and they had a driver for me, and I always wanted to know what it would be like to get a driver that would like have my name up on the thing and like, international. Super shout out to that. That was dope. Let me backtrack a little bit because there was some problems at the airport, not with myself or with the flights or the planes and none of that, but to all of my listeners that plan to go to the UK, to London, because let me be clear, London and Oxford are not the same. They're in the United Kingdom. But anybody traveling to the United Kingdom for any city or any municipality, whatever, you have to now get an ETA visa. And this is an electronic travel, I guess, aviation or whatever, type of thing. There's now an ETA visa situation now, and it is considered an electronic travel authorization. Sorry, electronic travel authorization is the ETA visa. And now I guess it's for UK and Canada, but specifically they're saying now it's a permit that allows you to travel to the UK or Canada for a short period of time. You can apply online, which is what I did. It's only like $13, and you will get an email when a decision is made. Basically, if you don't have a criminal record, it goes by fast. If you have a criminal record, you might have to wait a little bit longer. The good thing about the ETA is that it is linked to your passport. And so it's linked to your passport. So when I put my passport in, it let me in. Like when I went through, it was not even a crazy experience. Like once I got off the plane, I went straight through and then, put my passport down and scanned it and let me right in. So the ETA is automatically there. There's no paperwork, there's no special card or anything like that. So that was pretty dope. The cool thing is that once I got in, shout out to American Airlines, shout out to being a priority, a Platinum Pro, got my miles in, staying Platinum Pro for another year, didn't have to pay no money to stay in. My miles did the talking. I got through, it was easy breezy. There were some people who I guess thought that you had to apply for the ETA. You could apply for the ETA then or something like that. Some people didn't read. I don't know what was going on, but their passports would not let them through. And they kept trying to figure out why. And it was because the ETA is linked to the passport. And so if you don't apply for that and get approved and get all that taken care of, it can be chaotic. Now, I hear that it's very fast. But again, that's if you don't have a criminal record. But if you know you're going to England or you want to go or you think you might go, just go ahead and do it now. Get out the way. Don't wait until you book a flight. You don't want to risk it. And it went into effect January 8th of 2025, which was this year. So the moment I found out early January that I got that this was happening in early January. I found out about Oxford then. And so the moment I found out, I started Googling and doing research, and I heard about this because my good lit brother George, Dr. Gio, he did not he didn't have to he went to London in the fall, like around October, and he didn't have to have this. And so coming into 2025, I applied. I got everything squared off within like 24 to 48 hours. It went by really fast. But that was also because I was a newbie. Like I was one of the first people. Now at this point, it might be a little longer. So if you think you're going to go to London this year, next year, whatever, just go ahead and just drop that $13 now before they raise the cost. The ETA lasts, I believe, 2 years. It lasts like about 2 years. I believe it lasts about 2 years. And so it does last a nice period of time, for you. So it lasts 2 years or until your passport expires. So the rule of thumb is that the UK, the ETA for the UK is valid for 2 years or until your passport expires, whichever comes first. So my passport got renewed like a year ago. So basically it's 2 years. So it works with a passport. You have to have a passport first. So if you don't have a passport, get the passport first. Get the passport renewed if you're overdue. So get your passport renewed first and then put your passport information in because that's what you're going to need to get the ETA. So just want to let you all know that a lot of you all have been following my Instagram story. By the way, it is an Instagram memory story. So if you're screenshotting, you don't got to do that. Just go to my Instagram story memories or whatever, and it's called Ernest in UK, and you can follow that journey and keep watching certain videos and things because I know I was cracking up and I was being silly in the very beginning. So you can rewatch it as many times, and the information on restaurants and things I did and recommendations is there. So no sweating that. But I would recommend that you do that. Now, to apply online, because there are a lot of scams out there, it is gov.uk, gov.uk. You pay the fee, which I believe is £13, $12 in American dollars. You can pay by credit card. You can provide you have to provide your contact and passport details. You have to provide a valid photo of yourself, and you have to answer a set of questions. So you got to take a picture of your passport. You're going to have to submit those images. All those details is there. So this ETA is a digital permission to travel to the UK. It is not a visa. So I guess I've been calling it ETA visa. So it's not a visa, but it's like a visa, if you get what I'm saying. But it is a digital permission to travel to the UK, which is basically a visa. But they say it's not a visa in a sense because let me I guess the clarity for this. It's not a visa because it's for temporary travel. This is not for permanent, like 6-month major travel. So you need a visa for those longer extensions. So this is for people that's going to only come for a couple of days, a weekend, or a week vacation or something like that. This is a new thing they're doing and putting in place. But if you're going to be there for 6 months, you're going to live there, you're going to be there for business, you do have to get a separate visa, which is not this. And from what I hear is that if you do that, you don't have to get the ETA because the visa trumps the ETA. But for those who are not going to be there for that long or whatever, just for a day or whatever, because I've only been in Oxford. I'm only in Oxford for a day. That ETA is what protects that, or 2 days, or 3 days, or 5 days, or whatever. You have to get that if you're in the UK. So and also let me add this part because this is also important. Even if you're not going to be staying in the UK, if you got to get your ass between the UK to Copenhagen or to wherever you're going, you still got to get it. So even if you're going to a London airport or a UK airport as a carry or whatever, you still need to get it. So for my folks, it's like, oh, I'm not going to the UK. I'm going to go to Scotland. I'm going to go to Italy. If your connector flight lands in London, you still need to get it. Because you have to get your ass through there to get to the connect. So you still got to get it. And you're like, oh, this is a money grab. It might be. Because I don't know if y'all been following British politics, but child, people out here broke. And I'll explain what that meant. Because I did find some black people in Oxford. It wasn't that many. But I found some black folks. And I started asking them questions that I couldn't ask the white folks that live in this area. Because, it's a different experience. And let me just say this, just like America, y'all know England is racist as fuck. We'll talk more about that in a minute too. So, my driver picks me up. Everything's good. Before I get into that tea, let me also add this. Global entry, get it. Period. Global entry, get it. Let me also add that if you get global entry, it includes TSA pre-check for 5 years. So Dr. Parks, if you're listening to this podcast episode, which I know you are, and you still have not gotten your TSA pre-check, go ahead and get this global entry and just knock them all out. I think it's like $98. It's not $98 a year. It's $98 for 5 years. So you don't have to take off your shoes, your belt. You could go through. You don't got to undo your laptop. You can just put your stuff through. And it works for global. It's the global TSA plus it's the regular domestic TSA in one combination. Plus they give you a cool little global entry card, which I loved. It made me feel special. And it was dope. And also, if you got a passport, it expedites the process. So if we got passports out here, y'all, put it to work. Get global entry if you're going to be traveling. And what's funny was, this is the first time I've been abroad in 11 years. The last time I was abroad was in 2014 when I went to Ghana for 10 days. I have not been abroad in 11 years. And if I could get global entry, then I am planning for you to get global entry. Okay? So just go ahead, cough up that $94. It's worth it because I'm tired of hearing y'all spending 3 hours in the airport for domestic travel. If you had the TSA pre-check, global entry, whatever, you could be like me and show up within like 90 minutes. I show up to the airport like 90 minutes before my flight because TSA pre-check be having me, okay? Be like me and make the smart move and make the smart decision. Now, if you are somebody who does not travel globally, you can't travel globally, whatever the reason is, just go ahead and drop that $75 for regular domestic TSA. But if you're gonna get the TSA and you know you're gonna travel abroad within the next 5 years or so, go ahead and get the global entry. It is a little bit more. You gotta go through the same type of process that you would have to go through if you had regular TSA. Might as well just go ahead and go the global entry way. They gotta make you do fingerprints. You gotta go show up. It's just very simple. Just take my word on it. Now, let's get into the regular stuff, because y'all do ask these questions in my DMs, and I want to help you, and I want to give you factual, actual information that some people ain't going to tell you. Some of these people be gatekeeping the knowledge when it comes to international travel and things. Look at me sound like I'm an expert in international travel, even though I haven't been in international travel since now. But see, when I learn something, I share it, okay? That's what I tell my students all the time. Learn it and share it. Take what you learn here and apply it and share it elsewhere. That's how we spread it. Because if misinformation is going to spread, which we'll get to in this debate, we got to do this as well. So, soapbox on that over. So, my driver was so dope. Nice guy. He picked me up. He was very professional, very dope. I had to remind myself that they drive on the opposite end of the street, and their cars and their what's they call that? Because I don't drive. I guess that's called the wheel. The wheel, they or the I don't I'm see steering wheel handle, the handle. Um, so it's positioned on the right side, where the driver's side. So the passenger side is on the left side, and the driver's side is on the right in British cars. And they also drive on the opposite end of the street, which is different from us. So their driver's side is right, their car drives on the left upward. So everything they do is the opposite end of American driving, if that makes sense. It's quite fascinating. It was about an hour drive from London to Oxford. Got to my hotel, which I love my hotel. It's a very luxury boutique hotel. It is called the Old Bank Hotel. Historic. They are right in the heart of Oxford. They're like a 2-minute walking distance from Oxford University, like in the heart of Oxford University. They were in the middle of everything, and that was fabulous. So I didn't have to Uber. I walked, y'all. I walked. And I don't walk. I walked, and it was a great experience. Everything was right next to me. So, the moment I got in and I got settled in my room, I hit the streets. I hit these Oxford streets. I hit these UK streets. Okay, it was cute. The first thing I did was I got a full British breakfast, which included sunny side up eggs, bangers, which is just basically a really fancy sausage. They had beans, they had toast. Y'all know we gonna talk about it, okay? They had mushrooms, sauteed mushrooms. They had it wasn't bacon, it was like Canadian bacon, which is like basically like a savory sliced ham type of situation. And it was crazy. Other things. Well, what else was on that plate? Because I'm gonna tell you about that plate and about that situation, because I don't want to steer you. Because I know y'all looked at that plate and was like, did you eat all that? And so I don't want to get y'all thinking I did. But I want to tell you what was on the plate, because I didn't want to steer you wrong. So the plate it was a lot of food on that plate, y'all. Let me just start there. It was a lot of food. It was giving big back. It was a low vibrational breakfast plate. Um, so the food, so some of the food that was there. Okay, so I had to go back and look at the plate. So on my plate, I had toast, two sunny side up eggs, some beans, like canned beans, like that's what it tastes like. 2 sausage links, this Canadian bacon, but it felt like slices of ham. It was a grilled tomato and a hash brown. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 8 different items on that damn plate. So for starters, I don't like my eggs runny. So I did not eat the sunny side eggs. I ate the egg white around it, but I didn't eat the yolk. I had some of the beans, some of the mushrooms. I really ate the meat. I had some of the beans. The hash brown was hash brown. It was good. I did have the grilled tomato. Um, it was alright, but it was a very like that is a very protein heavy breakfast. I did not finish my plate because I was like, that's a lot. Now let me just say this though. If you go to places like the Dandelion, which is owned by Steven Starr in Rittenhouse, you're paying some serious money for that breakfast. How much did that breakfast cost here in the UK? Baby, it was £13. £13. Okay, £13. Which is the equivalent, £13 of dollars is the equivalent to 16 United States dollars. So £1 is the value. I guess because of it was like around $16 US dollars. Um, but fairly cheap compared to other prices. So that was very telling to me. Like it was the price equivalent was very telling. I would have spent way more money for that breakfast if I went somewhere else. English. So I had that breakfast. I went to a bookstore before I did my next stop. But let me just say that the price differences between the United States and America when it comes to these customs, we are getting scammed, y'all, in the US. When I talk about the food, they will have you thinking that these big portions, and let me say that was a big ass brunch. That portion size was worth the cost. I mean, that plate was big. Them portions were huge. That was enough to share, to be honest. I was not expecting all of that, especially at that price. Okay, £13. I guess it's like the equivalent of $1.25. So basically, if the US dollar is less, the American dollar, well, yes, the American dollar is worth less than the British pound. So you get more bang for your buck. So if I got some British money and I converted to American money, I would get more out of it, per se, for now at least. But Brexit, everything else going on in the world is crazy. So the food was good. It was good. It's just not my. I'm going to reserve my thoughts. I'll get more to what I think about British food in a minute. And I want to clarify. Let me just put this disclaimer. The Indian food, there's a big Indian culture in England because, of course, colonization. African food, West African food. I would say the Indian food, the cultural food that is not their own, is very good because it's more authentic than some of the American food that we have, right? So I will say that any international food from diverse communities, the food was good. But the food from their own native land, we're going to talk more about that in a minute. So I made a stop to a bookstore that's very prestigious. They have some really great bookstores. They love to read here, and books are not being banned left and right. I went to Blackwell, the Blackwell bookstore, which is in around Oxford, and I saw my book there, which was dope, and I actually bought it. I bought a copy of my book because I mean, what a flex to be able to buy your book in another country and be able to have your book around. So I then went to get high tea, and I got high tea at one of the most prestigious. So let me back up real quick because I do want to mention this because I did notice this and I wanted to shout this out about the places I went. So the places I got my high English, my English tea as they call it, the place that I got my not well, two places. So they were right across the street from each other, which was very telling. Like the Oxford spots were right next to each other, which was pretty impressive. And there was a historical element to that because it's like, wow, there's all these places that have, this history. Like there's so many places that have a big history there that gets people, really going, especially about, pricing and legacy and things. So where I was at in Oxford, there was two locations that I went to for food, which one of the places for the English breakfast, I got it from a place called Queen's Lane Coffee House, which is the longest established coffee house in Europe. Yes, which was wild to me. And then I got my hot tea at a place called the Grand Cafe, which is one of the oldest high tea places in England. They've been around since the 1600s. So this history is deep. This history is deep. It's very rich. And so that impressed me. But yeah, Blackwell bookstore is pretty dope. I was really feeling it. Saw my book there. Really good bookstore in general. Had a lot of great books, and the prices were decent. So then I went and got a high tea experience, which um, they got me one. It was only about $30. But I was told by the natives that was in the area that that is the most priciest, fanciest high tea spot in Oxford, in the area, and that most high tea experiences are less than that. Now, $30 for a high tea experience with tea and all of that. Do you know that there are hotels, as you all know, there are hotels all up and down Philadelphia that is charging three times that or twice as much as that? Like, I have not seen a high tea in Philly per person that is less than 65 per person. I think the cheapest I've spent, maybe the Prince Tea House in Chinatown is about $50 or $40. But over here, the authentic tea, the real good loose leaf tea, the good quality crumpets, the good macaroons, all of that, that shit was only fucking $30, I think I paid, which was a steal. And this is at one of the best locations and most iconic high tea spots. So I'm feeling some type of way. Because I just went to LA at the Biltmore and did a high tea with my good Judy and, Terrell. And we went and the high tea was like $90 per person. But they included, to be fair, they included unlimited champagne and mimosas. But still, like, they don't do all that over here in the UK. So I was impressed by the prices. I will give you all the good stuff first. The price situation was reasonable. You can have a good time in the UK when it comes to, prices. Now I'll tell you why, and I'll get into my theories and what I heard out here. Now let's get to this food though. The food here is very basic. Outside of West African food cuisine, outside of Indian cuisine, the food here is pretty basic. I mean, it's not bad, but it's not like iconically grand. I mean, it's very iconic in familiarity. It's like going to Philly and getting a cheesesteak, right? Like, okay, there are a couple of good cheesesteak places, but like at a certain point, getting a cheesesteak in Philly is just getting a cheesesteak, y'all. At some point, if you ain't going to the major, the GOATs, like the top five, which, what are the top five, in my opinion, cheesesteak places? Angelo's, Max's, Jim's West, Jim South, Delisandro's. I'll be nice and keep them on the list right now. But that's about the top five of the GOATs. Okay. Anything past that gets a little slippery. So if you're not getting a cheesesteak from those five places, I mean, chances are you're just getting a cheesesteak. Okay. So, it just becomes like, okay, you have one, but is it doing anything? So I just feel like the tourist traps of the food. I definitely was on high tourist a lot. Y'all know I did my obligatory take a picture next to what looks like a Buckingham Palace gate, but it could be in Buckingham Palace somewhere. Hell, Buckingham Palace is not even in Oxford, of course, but I had to take one of them gate photos because one thing about Great Britain is that they're going to have a nice gate. You can read into the shade of that, but they're going to have a nice gate up. And and cobblestone streets, because I gotta play my song "Worldwide" with my Beyonce. She, it's always my international or just in general traveling song. But yeah, the food was like very basic. Like they got basic eating habits. I mean, the toast and bean situation, child. I just was like, okay. Very basic. They eat McDonald's. They got a McDonald's here, but they got McDonald's based off of their own. You know how like in America there's like the Mariah Carey meal, the Angel Reese meal, right? We got that going on. They got their own, the Stormy meal, the Stormzy meal, or whatever. Like their British rapper over here that's like a hot rapper over here, he's got a meal for him in McDonald's. McDonald's know how to do that international cross promotion like nobody's business. They're not doing American artists here in the UK. They get in like popular UK rappers and athletes and people to have their own UK meals here. I thought that was dope. I didn't eat it because I don't eat McDonald's. But they also had a Philly cheese stack, which is supposed to be their Philly cheesesteak version of a burger. I don't know what the hell that was, but people in there was going up for it. I was walking by seeing folks go crazy for it. And you're wondering to yourself, why are they so basic and British? Why are they so basic and British? Not bad and bougie, basic and British. I think the reason why is because people here are broke. It is expensive. They are complaining about the prices. And let me tell you, I did my research. I talked to them. They said, well, who's your queen? Or what queen? I said, baby, there's only one queen that I acknowledge, okay, outside of, the queen that passed away, which is Aretha Franklin, who's the queen of R&B and soul, this queen of soul, right? But there is only one queen in the United States. And I was telling them, I said, in the United States, there's only one queen we acknowledge. Her name is Queen B, but that's short for Queen B, but it's Queen Beyonce Giselle Knowles Carter. Okay? But apparently, they still practice and acknowledge Queen Elizabeth. They're not really feeling our queen, America, because they are up in arms about them Cowboy Carter prices. Now, see, in the U.S., we talk our shit, but we don't stand on business. They're standing on business. Them tickets have been slowly selling. Like, I've been reading the headlines over here in the U.K. The Beyonce Cowboy Carter tickets are, and this is real, the tickets are selling slow because people are like, these tickets are too high. They said, Beyonce, read the room, baby. It is a recession. There's an economic recession going on over here. People are struggling. You over here complain about eggs over here in America. The eggs over here, baby, is like, it's not nothing to play with. The prices are, they're complaining about prices. Now, as an American, I was like, how much was this before? They said, child, the high teas are going up. I was like, they're going what? But see, capitalism in America got these places, the inflation is real. But they don't play that over there. They're staying their ground. And to be real with you, the Beyonce British tickets over there for good ass seats, if you had 300 pounds or you were spending, $300 or whatever you were spending, you could get you some, listen, the prices are very different over there in the UK. The tickets I paid for my seats for Cowboy Carter would have cost me half in British prices. And I remember with the Renaissance tour, people were saying how the Renaissance tour, they were going to London because the tickets were cheaper, but they also wanted to have the London experience, which I could see. But all I'm saying is I was learning a lot about prices, and they're standing 10 toes down about inflation and rates and things. Things are very expensive for the Brits here. So just wanted to put that out there. But yeah, the food is very basic. I think Dr. Parks was asking me about the food, and I said, let me hold my thoughts. But their actual traditional food is pretty basic. It's just very, very, they're muffins, they're scones. I had the scones with the tea, but it's very basic. Lots of carb, lots of just very basic, okay? So, British cuisine, for what it is very pubby, very, basically it's Philadelphia with an accent, to be honest. Because one could argue outside of like our like culinary wizards, basic standard Philly food is very basic. It's like cheesesteaks, hoagies, pizza slices. It's like, it's just my thoughts. So I did want to tell you what the food was, because a lot of people was asking me questions about the food, and there was a lot of interesting dynamics that was shaping my culinary palate. But I wanted to, let that be known what that experience was like. Because people were talking about it all the time. It was like, oh, watch out for this or eat this and this, that, and the third. And each, food experience, it changes based on the personalities. So, take that for what it's worth. Yeah. So hotel was great. I really did like my hotel. I just want to emphasize that the service was really good. This accent situation, accent gate. It was so tempting, like, to use a British accent throughout my time. And it's almost like second nature in so many ways, because you're hearing everyone talk like it. And because it's not like a foreign language, you just naturally get into it. But I was trying not to because I am, when I was, the debate is being taped, was taped. And I was like, I need to have an American accent so I can make it clear, who I am to the world. Because this is a global stage we're talking about, right? Oxford Union is being watched by people all over the world. And I wanted to be clear where I was from, and I wanted to have my accent, my American accent, and I wanted to make it clear that I was American. But spending a couple of hours out here, it was about to get very improper. It was about to be very, very spotty, and I did not want to have any problems with, translating and getting the people, upset about all of the issues that were happening. And listen, it got weird at one point in time, especially in a hotel. And it was funny because they were talking to me and I was talking to them with the same accent and nobody was playing with me. Now, my accent, like, I'm not going to do it for you all, but you all heard it. But like, no one was like giving me, hell about it. It was quite funny, actually. I was tickled by it a little bit. So it was very fun. I'll leave it at that. Like I did my big one. I had a good time. I did my big one, and it was cute. It was funny. Um, so I had to make sure though that I could not take a nap. I didn't want to be too early with my nap. Like I didn't want to sleep too late, sleep too early, all of that kind of stuff. I didn't want to. I wanted to make sure that I wasn't letting the accent thing get in the way of my ability to actually, do my big one. Like I didn't I didn't want to get in the way of, getting so caught up into some of the accent stuff that it impacted my speech. And I wanted to be focused and I overthink it. So as much as I played in the hotel, when it was time for the show, I definitely got back into the accent I have now. But I will tell you, it was tempting though. It was very tempting because everybody here in Oxford was definitely, the accents were strong. They were definitely strong. So that was that. So to the debate itself, in the process. Fashion wise, I loved my outfit, but I want to tell you all something that you all probably didn't know. Because I said on my last episode, I said, oh, this outfit I got, my outfit, the outfit that I was going to initially wear, I couldn't wear. I got notified maybe 24 hours before I left that this occasion for this debate situation was a total black tie affair. Like black tie down, honey. Black tuxedo, black vest, black shoes, long stockings, black cufflinks, black bow tie, preferably a black bow tie, which is what I wore because everybody did. Now, one of the people I was debating with, who, we'll get to him in a minute, he came in with a black tie. He didn't come in with a black bow tie. And I don't even think he had a tux on, to be honest. But, but I'm very big on mingling with the people. If you with your people, if you do the customs, you do it I'm in British. They say if you in Greek, you Greek with the Greece. You Greece, you speak Greece, you speak Greek when you're in Greece, do as the Romans do, when you're in Rome. That's how I get down. Like I don't try to, because it's their culture, it's their customs. Oxford has a very particular way. The Oxford debate had a very particular standard. And I want to respect people's culture and customs and do my thing. So I looked in my closet. Thank goodness I had that black tux. And something told me, put my clothes in the cleaners. Even I put my suits out, my shirts and stuff. Something just said, just while you're there, get your stuff in the cleaners. And I'm so happy I did. Because that suit was ready. That tie everything was ready to go. So it wasn't even a bad thing. I'm saving that suit. And I'm going to tell y'all when I'm going to wear that suit. Because that suit was a bad set. It was like an Oxford, it was like a Cambridge, navy, blue suit, tailored down with the vest, 3-piece suit, with an ox blood, suit pocket square and a nice ass tie. Ooh, it was, and I was gonna have some brown ring tips. I mean, the outfit was fire. Okay, that was a badass fit, and it was definitely British. It was definitely on point. I was gonna kill it. But this, what I had on, definitely was fly. Because even though it was all black, it was all about the details, the texture, the look. They knew I came like, oh, he came to slay. Like I looked good. I definitely looked good. I loved my outfit nonetheless. But I'm gonna say that suit for another occasion. When I wear it, you all will know. You all will know, because you'll be like, well, damn. You'll know. I know exactly where I'm gonna wear it at. I know exactly the occasion, because it will definitely be seen by hundreds of people, um, thousands of people. Okay, I'll just leave it at that. But moving on, yeah, outfit change had to change. Thank goodness the last minute switch not impact me any type of way. So the fit was fitting. I looked good. I loved that outfit. I like an all black outfit. I like the whole look. The look was just, it ate. It did what it needed to do. So I did come appropriate for the occasion. So the way they broke this down was 6:30 was cocktail hour. So they had cocktails from 6:30 to 7. And then we had a dinner from 7 to 8. And then the debate went from 8 to 10. And then from 10 to 11, it was like the cocktail post reception. Dinner was cute. Once again, it's British food. So they had like a salmon dish. Which was fine. They had a appetizer. I mean, it was very bland. And everything, I mean, even the sauces is very safe. It's like missionary cuisine is how I would describe it. And like, and making reference, you get what I'm, pick up what I'm putting down. I will not get too crass on this podcast episode, but very safe food. People really was using salt and pepper to put some flavor on the food, but it was decent nonetheless. So the way they had us situated was they had the opposition and the proposition sit at two different tables. So the debate topic was specifically, this house would cancel culture. That was the group. And so I was, of course, on the opposition because I don't want to cancel culture. And then there was the proposition, right? So the opposition sat in one table, which is where I sat, near the head, and then the proposition, those who support the house's argument, sat on the other side. So we were separated. The people who were a part of the proposition was Dave Rubin and Dr. Naomi Wolf. And on the opposition was myself. I was the lead opposition speaker. And then my co-debater was Peter Tatchell. So for those who don't know who Dr. Naomi Wolf is, she had a lot of controversy during the pandemic, because people was accusing her of spreading misinformation about vaccines, the pandemic, all that. She claims that she was canceled, and so therefore she's against cancel culture. Yes, she's a white woman. Now, Dave Rubin. A lot of people have heard of Dave Rubin. He has that podcast called The Rubin Report. He is a former progressive, openly gay. He's an openly gay married man. He's married to a man. He's openly gay. He's white. He used to be progressive, but now he's a conservative. And he is against DEI. He's against all kind of things. And he supports the Trump administration. I did my research and did my receipts, baby. I came prepared. But he is in his 40s. He's like 48. Naomi was definitely much older as well. They were like in their 40s, early 50s, Peter Thatcher was much older than me. I think he was out in the 60s. He's like, he might be, definitely might be in his 70s or 60s, 60s, 70s. Definitely late 60s, probably. But pretty nice guy, older white gay man, but progressive, true and true, and an activist in the UK. But definitely a dope guy to meet. It was very nice to be with him during the debate. So everybody, you all were hype about Dave Rubin, because Dave Rubin has said some crazy things. One of his most controversial things was that when Taylor Swift endorsed Harris Waltz for president and VP, he did this controversial ass speech, this podcast episode, talking about how that endorsement might lead, she should be scared that she might be raped by Venezuelan gang lords or some shit. I was like, what? You can Google this, but he said this, and this went viral, and the New York Post wrote about it. And just a lot of loony bin, like ridiculous ass far right rhetoric. And it's just like, dude, you're gay. You are married to a man. Like, do you think that these conservatives that you're trying to ass kiss is going to look out for you? Like, they don't even like him. They don't even like his ass, some of them, because they don't even see it for him. Because he's a former progressive, self-proclaimed former progressive that has seen the light. I'm like, dude, this is giving grift, child. I don't see it. So I met him. He lives in Florida. Go figure. Kept it professional, kept it cute. Dr. Naomi Wolf, she was there with her husband. Her husband, they're Trump supporters. It is what it is. I keep it professional. I did take a picture with Ruben and him. If you look at the picture of me, Dave, Ruben, I did not smile. Okay. It was giving the calm before the storm. I stay focused. I came there on a mission. Okay. Those Brits saw the best and the worst of America in that debate. Okay. And I need to keep it cute. So I had dinner. Dinner was fine. We didn't go to the debate. So there was a round of speakers. I was one of the closing speakers for my side. He was one of the closing speakers for his. So they had us do the face-off. We were the face-off. He spoke, and then I had my closing speech. They gave us 12 minutes apiece to speak. Okay? And an audience reaction. It was packed at Oxford University. Every seat was filled. They had people even upstairs. It was standing room. It was the debate. Okay? It was the debate. When I tell you the room was quiet, people was engaged, it was hot. It was hot. Okay? So I came with my team on my side. They came with their team on their side, and we duked it out. Okay? My boy Peter did his big one. All right? And I did my big one. And I killed my speech. I will not get into it. They are going to film it. It was filmed. It's going to come out in March. I think late March. But it's coming, y'all. And my debate, it's coming. It was hot. Listen, remember how I told y'all that I got it popping with Dr. Phil? Oh, baby, they gave me 12 minutes to do my big one. And I definitely did it. On Britain, on the UK, on Philly, on US, I did it. Okay, I ate. And they will show his speech. And when you hear his speech, understand that his speech was first. So I don't know. I think how they're going to film is that they're going to give us, because they're trying to, let me tell you something. This debate was so hot that I think they're not even going to put all of it on one film, because I think they really want to get clips and get views. So they're going to give me my own video, which I don't mind because I love it. Like, my speech is going to be filmed as its own separate thing on the YouTube, and his speech is too. But I will encourage you, if you want to, listen to his speech first, because that will let you understand how I dragged. My speech by itself was a dragging with or without his speech, because the way I addressed several issues in that room and stuff that was said throughout that debate, it took a lot out of me. I was not heated, but y'all know how I go in, but I was not emotionally and personally offended. I was passionate, and I definitely did it. Like, I felt good. I felt good. And when I finished my speech, the way they roared for me, people was, first of all, in the debate, the audience not supposed to clap throughout the speech, because the goal is you try to get your points off. But there were so many moments where there were people just couldn't help but clap, because they just was like, the points are being made. I was the only black man that participated in the debate and actually was at the dinner. At the actual Oxford University, there was only one other black student that was there that was a man. There was a couple of black women, a few black women that were like Nigerian, Ghanaian, but there was only myself and this other black man that was present in that entire room. It had to be about over 300 people in that, maybe more than that, because it was like the first floor, then it had upstairs, but it was packed. And there was only one other black man in there outside of myself that I could identify. And I want to add that throughout my time, it was fine. It wasn't, listen, it wasn't as, I don't know how to put a racist barometer around American Britain, but there's undertones and in the elitism, in the perceptions. So one of the things I'm in over there with high society folk, clearly, but there was a certain undertone where some of the people in there who was not a part of the union per se, or just guests or whatever, they kept thinking I was a student. They thought I was younger than I was, which I was flattered because I do look younger than my age. But there was an undertone where they did not think or presume that I was as distinguished as I was. It's the microaggressive racism where they saw the book but didn't know I was the author of the book. Like it was almost like you're Ernest Owens? And I'm like, did y'all like Google? Did y'all like it was very interesting to me how that there was a lot of that passive aggressiveness type of stuff, which I've dealt with my entire life. I went to Penn. I, I I grew up in Houston, Texas, y'all. Did speech and debate competitions against white kids in private schools. This is nothing new to me. So I was not highly offended, but it's just one of those, you know what I'm saying? It's like, and things that it's like, but that shit's not going away anytime soon. If anything, it's going to continue to perpetuate. But none of that shit distracts me, stops my speed. I kind of expected at this point those microaggressions. It's just like it's annoying, the thought of it is annoying, but it does not stop my speed. It does not give me imposter syndrome. It does not make me question my placement somewhere. If anything, it reinforces it because I look at the people there and I'm just like, well, what do you do? Oh, that's cute. And I don't want to be that, but it's just like, I find myself in the situation, the ones that question me and do all the probing of like, oh, so how did you get here? Blah, 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 blah. I find them to be the ones that's the most mediocre, which makes sense because with racism, mediocre folks are often the most racist because they're looking for a reason to justify their mediocrity in the world. So they want to assume that a black person like me got an unfair advantage or I didn't pull up my weight. And so every time I'm in those spaces, I answer the questions. And sometimes I just don't fucking give a fuck. Like I just don't even do too much. Like you'll get a situation where, okay, they'll do the, hey, where you from? And that's fine. Or, oh, so what do you do? And it's like, that's cool. But then there'll be even more so, well, where did you get educated? Or what did you study? It's like, okay, these are it's one thing if you're like in a situation where you're like there to meet and have a conversation and yada yada. But it's another thing when it's like a unsolicited conversation where you're in the middle of a conversation with somebody and then somebody wants to peck their nose in. It's given, and I was that person. I was the black person that was what they say, the fly in the buttercream or buttermilk, as they would say. I was the only black male present. And throughout most of the event, I was in many ways like it was either myself or just one other black person in the room. And we're talking about a sea of hundreds of people. And so it was those interactions, again, it wasn't something that was like shocking to me, but it's just like, the older you get, the more established I become, the more I'm just like, it's just like, okay. And I'm not one of these people that's flattered by that. I'm not flattered that I was the only black man there. I was actually like disappointed. Like, we still doing this? There's some people that like to be the only one. Oh, I'm special. Nah. There are black students that go to Oxford. Where are they? Where are the black men in the Oxford Union? If they exist, what's the recruitment? What's the D? That's all I'm gonna say. There were a lot of South Asians present, lots of Pakistanis, a lot of Muslims in general, Indians, a lot of South Asian, because of the British cultural connection there. We call it colonization. And then as far as the black folks that were there, they were West African. There was an African connection. I wasn't expecting any black Americans to be there. I get it. I see the dynamics with international, but it was just like, okay. So in that room, it became even more clear, right? Like you either had Muslim, Arab, South Asian influence, or you had just straight up white British. So that was very telling within itself. But after I gave my speech, one thing I will say is that they were up for me at that point. They were feeling what I had to say. Everyone was fully engaged. Everybody was just like, I woke the room up. Because for a period of time, you'll see for yourself. But Dave's speech was redundant. Like, he made the same tired talking points that we all know and we all heard. The fear mongering shit, the, oh, I'm standing for free speech argument. Like, it's the same basic shit. Like, it was very, like, I just thought he was going to bring more fire. I overestimated him. I thought he was going to really come with the smoke, and it was going to be that. But then when I spoke, I said, well, I'm going to beat his ass like a drum. I'm still going to go ham, because that didn't change my tenure. If anything, it made me even feel more compelled to shut down the shit that he said. So I don't want to talk too much about the debate. I want you to watch it. When it drops on YouTube, I will make sure you all will be the first to know, because we're gonna blow that video up. That debate gonna go viral. I just feel like it's a lot of people in the UK specifically that have strong thoughts about cancel culture, and I feel like that was the space to do it. And so that just was very flattering, that was very flattering for me. And just the magic of that, just the pure magic and joy of being in that space. And so when I reflect on so much, and then afterwards, after the debate, I don't want to lose track of this, there was the cocktail hour, and baby, that cocktail hour was, look, I went from at the cocktail hour, at the beginning, I was kind of like, I was only hanging out, or at least communicating with the debaters, the people I was debating with and things. But the rest of the general group wasn't really saying much to me. It was kind of almost like, it was like a hello, but no one really was engaging me. When that debate was over, I held high court in that damn reception room. I had a whole crowd all around me. It felt like a press conference, and I was just in my element, And so, yeah, that was just touching. That felt good. Yeah, that was my experience for the most part. I will say the one thing that this made me think about was just a sense of gratitude, like just total gratitude, because, I've talked about this over the past recent years, but like Philly just be half-assing with me. Philly don't know what to do with the door. When it comes to these type of things, right? Like, I'm going to be a journalist. I make my money. I make a bag. But like, when it comes to like public speaking forums and things like that, I just have a sense of gratitude, because it's like, in Philly, there's a lot of forums, panels, talks, keynote opportunities to talk about these topics, and no one in Philly barely invites me out. I mean, literally, the Urban League was probably the first major panel I've done in a minute, y'all. And everybody will sit up and invite all these basic, dry-ass folks, the same people on the same panels, but no one ever invite me at this point. Barely call, or anything. You would think, having a thought leader like myself, no. And some of that isn't because people don't know. Some of it is, I think, it's just gatekeeping. There's a lot of gatekeeping in Philly. Like, there's a lot of mentality that they think that they can really block something out. Listen, the days of trying to block me, silence me, quote unquote censor me, you want to talk about cancel culture, those days are a wrap. People have tried so much to try to stifle my ability to shine. And it's just like the universe works in my favor each and every time this stuff happens, where they'll go, oh, we don't want Ernest here. It's too controversial to this. And then I turn around and I can be able to get a full-fledged invitation to one of the most prestigious universities in the world to be and participate on their most storied debate stage. Like, my life it just baffles me in a way that's just like, wow. And so I used to be in a position where I would get upset about who doesn't invite me here, who don't do this. But what I've learned is that every single time I've been denied, there's always been something better in the world. The universe will go, don't even worry about that. Something better is coming. And each and every time that's been the case. Whereas I can barely, I never get really invited on local TV shows, with the exception of CBS 3. Shout out to CBS 3. But these other stations, they treat me like I'm box office poison. They don't invite me to come on anything and talk about nothing. I'm going to name some names. Like, I think it's funny because a lot of y'all bring it up. But 6ABC, Inside Story, you all will tell me you should be on that panel, Ernest. They listen. The producers, the hosts, they know. They know me. I've had conversations. For whatever reason, they want to have Christine Flowers. They want to have folks that don't even live in Philadelphia. Okay? That live out in further Erie and, Hershey and other places that are not in Philly to be on those panels. They want to get, the same types of voices and same people year in and year out. The fact that I've never been on an Inside Story set, if it's not happening, don't think I don't try. It's a conspiracy. I'm going to say it's a conspiracy. But these are the same local TV stations that claim we need to get young listeners. You ain't got nobody on your damn panel under the age of 40. But you're claiming you don't know why you can't get young people to watch these shows. Local news, like stations like that do those things, these stations will die if they don't find ways to engage younger people. And it's not just calling up a bunch of influencers. How about there are professionals in their 30s, like myself, that are professors, teachers, scholars, doctors, nurses, all this. You can just bring them on the show and let them be experts. Why has everybody got to have gray hair in order to be on TV? In local media. That or sports. Oh, yeah, if I was a black man talking about sports, they'll give me some shine. But if I'm talking about anything else, 9 times out of 10, I got to have gray hair. And there's no shade to my senior citizens or my seasonal professionals, but I'm just saying we need to work on having a multi-generational, intergenerational society. Like it just because these are the same people that's like, why are millennials, why can't we understand them or understand Gen Z? Because you don't bring anybody to the damn table. So the fact that Oxford literally created the dream debate I would have always wanted to have on the topic I'm an expert in. And they got me out here all the way from the U.S. to have a debate with another American. You know what's crazy to me is I think about it. MSNBC, CNN, all these goddamn cable news channels, they would never create the kind of space for someone like me to debate someone like Dave. And that's embarrassing because if America's supposed to be this birthplace of democracy in the Western world, how is it that that Americans like myself and Dave, Naomi, we have to literally go across the Atlantic to have these types of conversations because these producers and these news people and these media folks out here are so fucking scary and so dry. Like I don't know. Like I tried to watch MSNBC like about 2 weeks ago. And I'm just like, this is a circle jerk. It's like literally the same people with the same opinions, and they just play off identity politics. The people that be on there most of the time are dry. No one say anything profound. And at this point, they put more elected officials on there than they do actual political analysts. Oh, but they don't want to have no one like me or other folk, right? That's too controversial. And then they wonder why they can't have ratings or that the most of the people that watch their show is over 50. Scared money don't make no money. Oxford Union has been around for decades upon decades. And it seems like it's working for them to be able to create those types of spaces where they let people have those talks. I have never been given a stage like this before. 12 minutes for me to pop my shit. When I'm on these other shows, I get like, I hope I could get at least a minute to talk. But I got 12 minutes to really do my big one and express my thoughts on this in the way that was this, forever grateful. Just to be able to talk my shit as a young black queer man in this day and age. To have that kind of space and that forum, that platform, listen, forever grateful to Oxford University. And of course, there was people I met there. They want me to come back. They want to see some things. We're going to see. Because I'm going to put this ETA to work. But I'm just grateful for that. Because here I am in my own city, my own state, my own region. And to get on a panel for something is like a gold mine. Like when I get, my agent will hit me up. Shout out to my agent. Shout out to my team. Because they hit me up and said, look, Oxford Union has invited you to come out. And I'm like, oh shit, they want me to come down there? But like the fact that they even knew me, right? And that came from being on Pierce show, which look, Pierce Morgan is a nut. We all know Pierce Morgan's a nut, but you know what? Pierce Morgan's show on YouTube is getting hot because he gives everybody a platform and space to be able to talk their shit and duke it out. I'm not trying to be the only, I don't want to be in an echo chamber with these people. I want to fight them. I want to argue and debate, but I want a space to do it in a way where I get to talk. Okay, that's CNN 30-second, what's your view? That shit that they do is crap. And then when you look at their that Abby Phillip show, Abby Phillip, everybody on your show, again, all these people over 40. All these people are the same people you hear from. If Abby Phillip really wanted to have a really fiery show, stop bringing Jasmine Crockett and bring her Ernest. Bring somebody who's not elected, that's pushing their own seats. We don't need to hear from the very people that need to solve our other issues. We need to be hearing from thought leaders, scholars, and other folks. Shout out to Oxford Union for bringing a real one to the stage. So I'm just full of just gratitude and just every time there's moments where I just will think and say, like, look, this ain't happening because y'all know they don't want me in the room because I'm going to be a problem. But it's nice to be in spaces. And I guess the universe has told me, you got to think global. You got to think bigger. You got to aim higher. And so a lot of you all will tell me stuff like, oh, you should be on CNN. And I look at y'all, I'm just like, ugh, that's why. Because I know at this point that it's what I do in my level of thinking and work is bigger than those spaces. And we're so used to what these things used to be. There was a time when CNN used to be that space, but it's not anymore. None of those cable news channels are really. Like, I don't even do cable news. Like, I am on, YouTube, right? We done went, listen, I don't even look at me. Like, I'm not on TikTok. I got a fucking podcast. Like, the way in which the world is communicating around these issues and topics, you got to create different platforms and spaces. And the fact that, for those who've been following this podcast, I have been noticing for the past 2 years that I've been having this strong UK British following. And I've been mentioning, I've always mentioned, I was like, I got this base, like outside of America, right? My major cities, of course, is Philadelphia, New York City, LA, Houston, Atlanta, DC. Like, those are my, Chicago too, pockets of listeners. Like, my biggest listener base comes from those cities I just named. But also, London and Great Britain is my second highest listener base outside the United States. And I knew that was connected to Pierce Morgan appearances. Before Pierce Morgan, I was on the Dan Wootson show back in the day. Before Dan Wootson had his own controversies. I was on BBC a couple of times. But like, that consistent British engagement is what created the opportunity for me to be able to go on the show. When I was talking to the producers at the Oxford Union debate, they were saying, oh, well, Britain's a tough crowd. The English is a tough crowd. We wanted somebody that we felt like could face that. Because let me tell you this, these British folks, as much as they act prim and proper and royal, that's the real world. They are rude and very blunt. And I'm used to that kind of stuff. So I wasn't like, oh, I don't like the way you talk to me. I was very like, I get it, right? And I met them there. This one guy, when I was getting into the building, this was a security guy. He was like, are you going in and out? I said, I'm going out. Now move out the way. But I think I had to ask. I was like, move out the way, mate. I'm trying to get out of here. Good day. But like, this trip just did a lot beyond. I'm excited. I'm excited about what's to come, the professional opportunities from this book, like the eyes in that room, just what this means for the book beyond. I mean, this is literally the 2-year anniversary this week of the Case for Council Culture. And here we are 2 years later, still talking about this. And it's blowing up even more. It's getting into a different space, a different place. And I just encourage people, that's out here to expand. If you're not getting the type of cosign that you think you should get in certain spaces and places, that might be a sign that you might have outgrown yourself in that area. That even though you're seeking this validation or seeking this because you think you're supposed to get it, right? It might be a sign to say aim higher. And I feel like that's been a theme for the past year for me. Has just been that I've been in situations where I was like, okay, I've arrived at a certain point. Shouldn't I be doing this? Shouldn't this be available now? But the crazy part is like people say, oh, you should be an MSNBC contributor. You should do this. And that's the stuff I was hearing. And I'm like, well, yeah, at this point, I've written a book, I have a master's degree, I'm a professor, I do all this stuff. I should be in these types of spaces. But what I've realized is that now at this point in my career, that's not even like that's not even my audience as much as it used to be. That now that I've come to this place where I think I should be entitled to it or be a part of it, it's not even worth the time. The juice then lost its squeeze. It's like I'm excited to challenge myself beyond that. So I just want to encourage people that if you're in a space where you think, oh, I should be being here, I should be working, I should be collaborating with this, maybe if it's not working out and you feel like you're overqualified or whatever the case is, maybe you should take a step back and say, I need to challenge myself to think bigger than this. For me, it was bigger than Philly, but now bigger than America. Hell, bigger than North America. This is my first time ever being in Europe. So gratitude is definitely what I'm feeling. Gratitude is definitely what I'm feeling right now. And yeah, that's been my journey. That's been my experience. Um I look forward to coming, of course, back to US. We're gonna record this upcoming episode. You know, but I thought that I should really pour out my guts and get everything out while the moment is here, while it's still, you know, percolating. I'm just super excited. I can't wait for this to drop. Like, I thought I was excited about the Dr. Phil show episode, which was super dope. But this is just, oh, it's rich. It's rich. It's just, I can't wait. So, yeah. So, I guess some takeaways is I'm probably, unless it's catered or it's comped, I'm probably never going to really buy a full British English breakfast or whatever in the United States again, unless it is like free or comped or whatever. Like, I am not going to do it. I've had better. I know what better is supposed to look like and taste like. Pim's Cup, the cocktail, a great cocktail, by the way. For those who don't observe, a Pim's Cup is a classic British cocktail. They drink it during some stuff. So basically, a Pim's Cup is a cocktail. It's popular. It is one of numerous fruit cups, which is considered a type of cocktail with gin, a soft drink, and fruit. Um, its primary spirit is the Pim's number one cup, which is a gin-based beverage. That was it's flavored. It's with fruits and spices. It was invented around 1823, and it was considered a health drink. But I do like a Pim's cup. It is fun. And they call it a fruit cup is what they call it, but it's not a fruit cup per se, but they put fruits in it. But it is a very good cocktail. It is very good. It's got a dry gin, a liqueur with this fruit juice and spices energy. It's very good. It's what some people consider a very boozy punch, but it's their type of punch. But yeah, but I just, also let me get to this other thing about London and their bland food. I don't want to keep banging them on this, but like fish and chips, baby, which is basically some fried some fried fish strips and, potato chips. I'm sorry, fries, but fries, potato fries. Um This what y'all going up for over here? This what y'all eating? You know, of course the other foods, but like these are your specialties. But you know, to each their own. To each their own. So yeah, I'm super excited. I you know am going to just keep just it's everything. It's so much. But I want to thank you all for just continuing to support my career, continue to just cheer me on. It felt good to see the comments. So many of you all left me my DMs and messaged me, you know, during this whole entire process. Um, it's just been a true delight. So, you know, for those who told me what my former college house dean, she said kick his ass, and I can confirm affirmative. I can confirm an ass kicking was definitely given, and it was a great debate. So thank you all so much for listening and support and everything. And as always, be well and be best. Earnestly Speaking is recorded in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. To stay up to date with the latest on the show, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Mr. Ernest Owens. Use the hashtag Earnestly Speaking to tell me what you thought about this episode, and check out my website at ernestowens.com.